Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Friends in Recovery podcast. I'm Jersey Ed, your host, along with my co-host, Big Dan. What's up, Big Dan?
What's up, Ed? How are you doing today?
I'm doing. It's just you and I today, Dan, the boys, right?
That's it, man.
We're going to talk about men stuff.
Yeah, back to the basics.
That's right. Back to the basics. And happy birthday, Friends in Recovery communities. Today is March 16th as we're recording this. And Friends in Recovery communities, the AA meetings and the community has turned 4 years old today, guys. And it's just been an amazing ride for the last 4 years. I'll get a little bit into the history of it. And I know Dan has a reading for us for today, and we're going to start all that. But first, I want to let everybody know that if they need to get a hold of us, they can call us at 800. This is the podcast hotline, non-emergency hotline is 800 989 6504. And our new email address is friendsinrecoverycommunity@gmail.com. That's friendsinrecoverycommunity@gmail.com. I believe that's it. And I'm going to have a permanent one for the show. We just had to change email addresses. Not had to, but just got rid of the old one because nobody was using it. So, and then our website is friendsinrecoverycommunity.org. Please visit over there. You can also get this show from over there and many of the past shows. A lot of good past shows, Dan, with Friends in Recovery. Yeah, good past shows. So Dan, today is Saturday, March 16th. And it was 4 years ago today, and you and I didn't even know each other. You may not have been born 4 years ago today. But 4 years ago today, we came up with this idea, well, a little bit before that, about helping people out on Zoom because COVID hit and things were getting locked down. And Stacy and Melissa, who worked with us way in the past, some of you guys out there in Friends in Recovery Land might remember Melissa. She, her and Stacy put all this together within days and then just turned on the switch and flooded people here in meetings. We had 60, 70 people, 100 people I think we hit at one time on the Friends in Recovery meetings.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but COVID had to bring all that together. I was sharing on the meeting this morning. Bambi did her meeting this morning, and I was sharing that, COVID was a good thing. We all look at it as, people, and some people died from it, and it was very sad. But for me, looking back at it, COVID turned into a good thing for me. My recovery is much stronger. We came up with all these Zoom meetings. Zoom is huge now in the recovery field. In the AA and the AA community, and even what we do. I mean, we in our field, AA is AA and Zoom meetings are really important because sometimes you can't get speakers in. Sometimes whatever it is, we can always rely on anytime, anywhere. Just go on to AA.org and find a Zoom meeting, right? Especially the Friends in Recovery Zoom meeting. So that's the important ones. And I know Dan, you host one of those meetings, correct?
Yeah, so I host the Thursday night meeting, and it's such a great thing to have. And, anybody out there that watches this podcast, if they have the opportunity to jump on a Friends in Recovery meeting during the week, on the weekend, it's a different outlook on recovery every day of the week. There's absolutely everybody who runs these meetings brings something different to the table. And if you enjoy running meetings, if you've got some sobriety under your belt, you're more than welcome to talk to Ed, talk to Bambi, get involved in running these meetings. I mean, it's super great. No one ever said I felt worse after I left that meeting.
That is true. That is true. But yeah, you're right, Dan. It's these meetings are 2 days a week, 2 times a day, 7 days a week. And again, you can jump on our meetings. This is what we created. So even before the meeting started, this podcast existed. I think this is our 6th year. I think we just celebrated beginning of February, celebrated 6 years doing the podcast. And that's really where the community came in. The Friends in Recovery community came in, was through the podcast and through, everything as far as, getting the world being different. Now, Dan, I know you weren't around in Friends in Recovery world, but were you sober back, in 2021 or 2020?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. What was your thoughts about, not going to meetings, not, being able to get out in the world? How did it affect you?
So my home group still held one meeting a week in person, but they had 6 chairs apart. But, I jumped on Zoom land and found meetings and, listen, it carried me through.
Yeah.
And, still building those relationships and having that connection to other people. And here's the other thing too, right? So when you get on a Zoom meeting, you don't have to worry. You can jump on a Zoom meeting anywhere. It doesn't, if you're worried, if you're a professional in recovery and you're worried about somebody else seeing you that you live around or work around, you don't have to worry about that, because when you are on Zoom land, these people don't know you. And there's anonymity within these meetings. So that really turned me on to the online meetings, so that I could build relationships with people that I didn't know, that I could get a different outlook from, that would protect my anonymity, and that would just be open and honest about things, and everybody has different levels of experience. So it was such a breath of fresh air knowing that I would go into a meeting and everybody was welcoming, everybody was non-judgmental. And, it was something new every week, and everybody was supportive. And when I tell you, they, just like in Friends in Recovery, we all say, put your number in the chat if you're comfortable, during our meetings. The same thing happened for me when I was on those meetings, and it made a huge difference,
Oh yeah.
Making those connections, because once you start texting those people, if you miss that meeting, following up, they're texting you. They're holding you accountable. So the accountability was still there, even though they weren't close to me.
Yeah. And, I think, Dan, these Zoom meetings brought a lot more people into the fold, because a couple of things: you could turn your camera off and not talk and just listen, right? If you're, I work with a lot of cops and first responders and all that. And, they said they didn't want to go to AA meetings because, what if they arrested somebody there? Or what if they, whatever the case is, and I get that. But you come onto one of these Zoom meetings, first responders or not, and you're just not sure. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to, I know on Friends in Recovery, you don't have to qualify yourself. You can sit there and just listen. A lot of people have the camera off and just type in, hey, listen in today, first time here, whatever it is, and that's okay. Back, I just actually celebrated 30 years, on March 10th. And, I remember the days, when you walked into the smoke filled rooms, right? The shitty coffee. I was the ashtray guy on my 7:30 meeting at night at Fog Lifters in South River, New Jersey. And I used to clean up the ashtrays, right? My sponsor said, what job do you hate? And I mean, what do you mean, what job do I hate? He goes, well, in the meetings, like, I want you to volunteer for something. I said, well, I don't want to do the ashtrays. Good, you're doing the ashtrays. I'm like, oh, fuck, really?
That's right.
So that's how you do it, right? And then you appreciate life. And God, I probably for 6-7 months, I did the I was brand new in recovery anyways. And, but it was different back then. And you couldn't say anything about drugs or alcohol. You couldn't crosstalk. You couldn't talk about mental health issues. You had to qualify yourself in most of the meetings way back when, unless it was an open meeting. And there was a few and far between those meetings. And, it just, you had to talk, and I'm, like treatment today and recovery today and AA and recovery programs today, everybody's a little different. My recovery can't be your recovery. Your recovery can't be my recovery, right? But way back when, sit down, shut up, go to meetings and talk to your sponsor. That was it. No crosstalk, no this, no that. Everybody was treated the same way back when. And it worked, don't get me wrong, but now that they know, mental health has a lot to do with it. A lot of different things that there are meetings now. There's dual diagnosis meetings. There's CA meetings, NA meetings, you name it. There's Overeaters Anonymous, everything is out there today. And I'm glad that we've come this far because we're helping a lot of people now. And let's face it, Dan, you see it every day. The drugs are so much different than what they were, even 10 years ago versus what they are today. So, and it's been crazy. So,
but here's the other thing, right? Like, you just said a good thing. You said, things have come so far, and they really have. But the one thing that I like about Friends in Recovery is we didn't come this far just to come this far.
That's right, brother.
We take it to the next level. Friends in Recovery offers camping trips, kayaking trips, get-togethers, sponsorship, life coaching. There's continuous things that you can get throughout this program, upon outside of just building these relationships that are impactful on your recovery and your life,
Yeah. And you're right. And there is a whole community. That's why it's called Friends in Recovery Community. And you're right. We do everything, together. Camping trips, like you said, you and I were just recently on a camping trip, a winter camping trip. And it's stuff that we wouldn't do normally, even if we weren't in recovery, even if we weren't, if we're just the normal person. Who the hell goes camping in January, right? And then does cold plunges, but we're thinking differently today, and we don't have to be that, that person anymore. That, okay, we have to follow rules, get in line, and it's okay to be different today, right? It's okay to express yourself. And I think, way back when, again, when I first got into the rooms, it was not okay to express yourself. You do that to your sponsor, you pull somebody privately. But the problem with that, Dan, was that nobody got to see, like, okay, well, how come he's the same as me and blah, blah. So, we didn't get to see people's feelings or how they're feeling or what their emotions are at that point. Because I know in early recovery and you can jump in anytime, but in early recovery, I was confused, man. I had no idea. How am I supposed to feel? Why am I supposed to feel? Like, is this right? Is this wrong? I'm getting divorced. Am I supposed to be getting divorced? And I had a sponsor to help me through that, but that was one person.
Yeah. I think that for me anyway, if it would have been 30 years ago for me, I don't think that I would be in the same place that I am right now, because if I wouldn't have seen the pain, the hurt, the real of other people with their experience, strength, and hope, I don't think I would be where I am today. Because, you find a sponsor that you're comfortable with, but how can you appropriately do that if you're not hearing, seeing, and feeling all those emotions? If you're, and if you, but, for you, hats off to you. Like, that's a huge accomplishment for 30 years. And when you sent me the running shorts thing, to be honest with you, I just watched it this morning. That was great. I was like, wow, that is really cool. Like, I would have never thought that that's what it meant when you said running shorts. I was like, come on. Now, anybody watching who doesn't understand that, go to YouTube and go to the Friends of Recovery shorts or how.
No, it's under Lifelong Wellness. Go to Lifelong Wellness. Yeah, and YouTube. So I do a weekly thing called Running Shorts. What Dan is talking about, and it's not about running. It's just that I wear running shorts and I do it on my run, and it's stuff about life, about recovery, about whatever whatever might be on my mind on that long run. I usually do my long run where I get time to think and get in my head and I think positive things, and then it comes out on running shorts. So
that was cool, man. That was really cool. I was like, man, that I like that. You gotta really come out with them. Like if you did them every day, I'd watch them every single day.
Well, I'm working on once a week right now.
Yeah.
So that's what Dan's talking about. But it's all about part of life. It's all part of how we grow in recovery, right? And Dan, again, we can't go back in time and say, okay, well, if you were there 30 years ago, you would adapt. And, I adapted along the way. That's the other thing about recovery is it makes us see changes. I mean, at the beginning, when we walked into the door of Alcoholics Anonymous, we had to change everything. Every fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
So change was huge. I don't care if you walked into a room of, I used to call them dinosaurs, old timers, whatever you want to call them. We just, you just had to change. You had to stop drinking, right? And then have an open mind. But I was lucky to my sponsor who. God, probably 5 years into my recovery, I ended up having my sponsor who I have today. So I have 25 years, I had him as my sponsor. But here's the cool part of it all. Him and I worked together years before that for a couple of years at a courier company in Parsippany, New Jersey. And he was the cool guy with the he was the vice president of sales and marketing, and he had the Cadillac and all the drugs, and he was always drinking up in his office. And I sometimes was able to get in on that and drink with him, at work, or we all go meet at the bar, and I helped build his house, and him and I just became friends at that job. And needless to say, I got fired because of whatever, drinking on the job, I'm sure, or not showing up or whatever it was. But 5 years later, after I got sober, he walked into a meeting and that I was in, when I moved back into the area, and there he was. And he's been my sponsor ever since then. And I just got the privilege to spend some time with him the other day. He came down to Charleston, and he's thinking about moving down here. He's from the North Jersey area, and he's thinking about moving down here. So him and I spent a good part of the day together, which we haven't done in a long time. I mean, I talked to him on the phone, but just a good guy. And that's what recovery is about. And he's one of the guys that changes. He loves change. He embraces it. It's just, he wouldn't have grown and been where he was at personally, professionally, in his recovery too. So I look up to him. So he's a good guy. But anyways, yeah. So that's kind of what I did last week and I also ran 30 miles on my 30th anniversary because, why not?
That's
right?
Impressive. That's impressive, Ed.
It was tough, but you know what? I just did it. Sometimes you just got to kind of do it. But this is the stuff that recovery gave me, or gives me on a daily basis. It gives me freedom to do what's right today, and if I make a mistake and if I do something wrong, I can get back, not wrong, but if I fail at something, I can get back on the path and go again, so that's kind of like what recovery has given me today. So, and then as far as Friends in Recovery, you found Friends in Recovery through me, right? Is that how you found us? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Well, I found it through you, but I also found it through Jill, who runs one of the other meetings. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it was about the
that's
same
right.
time. Yep.
That's right. She Jill was running the meetings, and that's okay. Yeah. So, so it's the birthday for Friends in Recovery. It's my 30-year anniversary. It's a Saturday. It's a 366 fucking days sober kind of day. But before we read that, I want you guys to listen to this.
Are you a rebel seeking transformation in your recovery journey? Then 366 fucking days sober is the book for you. 366 daily meditations. This book by the SoberPod Recovery podcast host and professional rebel, Carl, will help guide you towards a new way of thinking and living. Each daily meditation offers a fresh perspective, practical advice, and a healthy dose of Carl's irreverent humor to help you stay sober and embrace the challenges of life without drinking, drugging, or shitting your pants. Whether you're just starting your recovery journey or looking for a daily dose of encouragement and laughs, 366 fucking days sober is the book for you. So, if you're ready to transform your life and become the rebel you were meant to be, get your copy of 366 fucking days sober today. Available today on Amazon.com.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Friends in Recovery podcast. Buy the book, and we're going to read from the book now. Everything you just heard, we're going to read from that book. So what are you going to read? What date today?
I'm going to read March 16th.
March 16th.
Yep.
Go ahead. Have at it.
Let's get real down in the dirt today. Let's go back to the basics, being addicts and alcoholics. We have a problem consuming alcohol and drugs, yes?
Yes.
Once we ingest anything, liquid, pill, powder, smoke, and sometimes rectal suppositories, we kick off the process that puts us at odds with the world and ourselves. So the simple answer is to simply not do the shit.
That's right.
Right?
Right. Easy.
Not so easy. Huh?
No.
Then we obsess about the stuff. We can think of nothing else. Absolutely fucking nothing. We try, we gather our will, and we try. We may be able to get sober for a few days or even a few months, but we always end up right back in the same spot, disgusting, injecting chemicals against our own will. We have attempted it all on our own to fight this demon alone. Again and again, we bring out all of our determination and resolve and try one more time, only to fall back again. It's demoralizing, as they say in the rooms of recovery. Only you know what it feels like, and nobody else but another person in recovery will ever understand that depth of desire you have to release yourself from this burden. The reflection from today. Am I really an addict or alcoholic? And the daily challenge for today is going to read, have you ever told anyone how you really feel about drinking and using? Try it.
Try it, guys. Just try it. Don't do it. Try it. Why do you think he put in? That was a great reading, by the way, Carl. This book is available, and just go on the website and get it, as the commercial told you to. But why do you think he put am I really an addict or alcoholic?
Because if you're buying this book, you know why you're buying it.
Of course. So
if you're reading this, then you are either an addict, alcoholic, or a person with a use disorder. But
I'm talking about after this whole, you read it, rectal suppositories, chemicals. Who is it? Dominic from Lantana. I spent a little time with yesterday. Great guy. Hey, Dominic. He's going to be on the show pretty soon too. Big shout out to Dominic and Lantana. But, he said the same thing. He goes, he had judges and people telling him, same thing with me. You know, we have people telling me, why do you do this? But why?
Right.
Like, why do you do this? You know, why don't you just stop?
Listen, that sounds easy, right?
Yeah.
Like, it sounds so easy. And, you know, so for everybody, it looks different, you know?
Yeah.
So most people, you know, it's jails, institutions, or death. They continue their use disorder. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what it is, you know, it could be eating, same thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because the drugs that we put into our bodies, especially now, you know, like the heroin or actually the fentanyl and all that stuff can kill you, right? It just can kill you automatically. Like, you know, you're sticking a gun to your head and spinning that chamber and playing, you know, Russian roulette or whatever they call it. And that's what you're doing when you stick a needle in your arm or, you know, even snorting cocaine today is really bad. It's in everything. Smoking a joint, if you're buying it from off the street, you know, there's fentanyl in that too.
Yeah, and that here's the thing, right? So it says, "Am I really an addict or alcoholic?" Right? So if an addict has to ask himself this, most people only get to die one time in their lifetime, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you get to die multiple times and be brought back, you know, that's just a quick and easy way for me to explain the fact of, am I an addict? Well, if I continuously do something that causes me to die and be brought back, you know, that's a once in a lifetime type thing.
Yeah. I mean, well, you know, some people might come back from a car accident or whatever, but you're right. You know, like, you know, people are ODing in hospital parking lots so they can be saved because that's, you know, that's how strong this drug is, you know, that they don't, you know, I heard on our meeting today, one of our friends in recovery shared, I didn't want to feel anything. I didn't want to feel happy. I didn't want to feel sad. I didn't want to feel anything. And how true is that? I mean, that is so true for an addict. They'll even, even take a chance to die. Right? Take a chance to die. That's the crazy part of it, you know, like just to feel nothing, right? Nobody wants to die, right? Even that addict that's putting the needle in their arm. I mean, I spoke to all through my years of you know, being in recovery and working in this field. Nobody wants to die. Nobody, but nobody wants to feel things and be happy or sad or go through the motions. And when we're that deep into it, you know, if it's heroin, if it's alcohol, cocaine, whatever it is, you know, so that's kind of where all that is at. So that's a chance you take, you know, that's a chance you take. And way back when I was using, it was never never like, there wasn't really deaths like there are today, right? There really wasn't deaths like there are today, heart attacks or maybe, you know, stumbling into a street and get hit by a car, DUIs or whatever, you know, but like you were saying, you know, dying 3 times or dying 5 times or whatever it is that way back when it was when, you know, 3 or 4 DUIs, like that's when you knew you were kind of an alcoholic. Like, you know, not everybody gets even 1 DUI or DWI or whatever they call it in your state. Yeah. You know, that was that way back when. I don't even think people are getting DUIs now because they're overdosing before they get in the fucking car. I'll be honest with you. So, you know,
here's you know, and now that they've legalized some of these substances, you know, that brings it up to a whole nother, like, are they impaired to be driving at that point in time? Like that, I think that there's and this could be a politics thing, you know, because they make the card for people to have medical cards, medical marijuana cards to drive with. They make them look like licenses. I think they do that so they keep them with them. So they hand the wrong one to the police, you know. But you know, I could be wrong.
I don't know. Oh God. Yeah. I mean, you know, but it's, it's funny how our brains operate how, like we will cheat, lie, steal, and do whatever it takes to get whatever makes us feel not to feel. Right. I remember sitting in my garage at the end, at my mom's house when I was living there, and just drinking and drinking and drinking. The cocaine stopped because I couldn't afford it. But my cousin and I used to sit in a garage and just drink. I mean, I would, and I'm not shitting you, a little bottle, it was disgusting, a little bottle of Sambuca and a case of Molson every single night. Like, at least close to a case of Molson beer. And it was horrible. It was horrible waking up in the morning. But I didn't want to feel anything. Not that I didn't love my family or my whatever, but I just didn't know how to operate. I just didn't know how to operate like the normal world did, and when AA came around and I know AA, we talked earlier in the show that AA was different today, but it saved my life no matter what. No matter if there was the dinosaurs in there, or if it's more of a kind of a meeting that everybody's friendly at today, not friendly, but open to crosstalk or other drugs and mental health talk, but whatever. But it saved my life, and I knew AA was the one place I can go and not worry about anything. When I went into those rooms for that hour. And still to this day, that hour in the Zoom rooms or wherever they are, I don't have to worry about anything. Like, time can stop. I don't have to worry about the job. I don't have to worry about the kids. Not that I do worry, but I can put all that stuff aside, and I can just focus on me and focus on what life is about today. So, we're going to close here in a minute, Dan, but what's your thoughts on, first of all, 4 years for Friends in Recovery, and your thoughts on this reading real quick before we close?
The 4 years on Friends in Recovery, this is just the beginning, this is just the beginning. And, I said it earlier, with me now being able to be a part of Friends in Recovery and have just this relationship with you and, have this friendship, I feel like having Friends in Recovery in my corner helps me stay sober every day, and that's just my thought, like I'm able to get on, I'm able to host a meeting, and, I'm able to talk about things. I enjoy it. And, I think that 4 years is great. I think the next 4 is going to be great. I think in 6 years, when we celebrate 10 years, we'll be having another podcast, and you're going to be saying, Dan, you got a couple more wrinkles, but you're still an asshole.
That's right. No, you're not an asshole, but you're right. We get to be free. I mean, think about it. You're a host on a podcast. You came into this community and you're sharing your experience, strength, and hope with everybody. And the great part of it is, I know it's a selfish program, and we get to do all these things, but we're helping other people too, just like those other people are helping us. Anybody who hosts those meetings, like Kathy or Jill or Bambi or Tony or you or whoever is hosting those meetings, is helping me, and when you guys get on, or when we get on and host a meeting or talk or whatever, we're helping ourselves. So it's this crazy, crazy circle that we go round and around in. And happy birthday to Friends in Recovery. Thank you to my wife, Stacy, and Melissa, who is, Melissa is not in recovery, but Melissa was a huge part of, putting this together. Her and Stacy were the driving forces of putting this together. Melissa's gone on to do her own thing, and she's doing her thing, but Stacy and I are still kind of running this and helping people get where they need to get, and that's what life is about. It's about helping people get what they need. And my life is about that. Not everybody wants to do that, because it does take a certain person. It's very demanding and very time consuming and very like, oh my God, I got to listen to this again, but that's okay. That's okay. If you have to repeat it 1,000 times, if the 1,001 time you're going to get it, that's well worth it. So, Dan, thank you for co-hosting with me on here. The time flies when I'm on these podcasts. Like I get on, I'm like, oh my God, I got to do this podcast. I'm going to dread it. And then I'm looking down like, oh my God, it's time to go already. So, but, hopefully here's to another 405 years, who knows when we're gone, where this is going to go. I hope it just keeps going. The other thing before we close, donations are important to Friends in Recovery. So if you go to Friends in Recovery Community.org, you can find out how to make donations there, because it's that's all we run on. This podcast runs on donations. The meetings run on donations. So if you guys can donate 4 cents, 40 cents, $4 today, $400 today, just give us a little help there, and I'll make sure Carl puts in the chat too how we can make some donations. So Dan, thank you, and it's great having you as a co-host and a co-worker. I'm very honored to have you to work side by side with you, helping people get what they need in life. So that's it, guys. Stay sober, everybody.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.